Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Let's take up the analysis of today's The Hindu newspaper. The first article is from page number 9 and it refers to the Namami Gange program. The Central Pollution Control Board has taken the UP Pollution Control Board to task for failing to prevent the drains in Kanpur from polluting the Ganga river. The Central Pollution Control Board has examined and monitored the water quality in the region, and it has found that the water has very high BOD and COD, which indicates that there is very low dissolved oxygen and the water is unfit for consumption due to its high organic content. The main reason why pollution in the Ganga river is very high near Kanpur is because of industrial effluents. In fact, amongst all the cities of UP, Kanpur alone accounts for 75% of the pollution load in the Ganga river. Because see, Kanpur is a major industrial hub and it has a number of industries such as sugar, paper, leather tanning, slaughterhouses, and many other smaller industries. Most of these industries release the industrial wastewater directly into the river without treating it. Amongst all these industries, leather tanneries are responsible for extensive water pollution because in leather tanning, chromium is extensively used. And the wastewater, which contains excess amount of chromium, is directly discharged into the river without being treated. In fact, the chromium contamination of the Ganga river by the leather tanneries of Kanpur has given the city of Kanpur an infamous tag around the world. Due to extensive industrial pollution in Kanpur, this city alone has been allocated 1000 crore rupees out of the total 20,000 crore rupees budget of the Namami Gange program. So in this context, let us talk about the sources of pollution in the Ganga river, and we shall also have a brief discussion on the Namami Gange program. See, the Ganga river, which is considered as the lifeline of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal, is extensively polluted due to industrial waste, sewage waste and religious waste, and the river is considered to be one of the most polluted rivers in the world. Over the last few decades, large quantities of industrial effluents have been directly discharged into the river without being treated, and this industrial wastewater has introduced heavy metals and other industrial contaminants into the river. Another major source of pollution is sewage waste. Along the entire stretch of the Ganga, starting right from Uttarakhand, going all the way up till West Bengal, large quantities of human waste, urban sewage, is directly released into the river. And since the Ganga is considered as a holy river, religious waste, such as religious bathing, cremation of dead bodies, idol immersion, also contributes to the pollution of the Ganga river. These factors make the stretch between Kanpur and Varanasi the most polluted stretch of the Ganga river, and monitoring of water quality by the Central Pollution Control Board and the UP Pollution Control Board has shown that BOD and COD levels are extremely high along the Ganga river, and especially in this stretch, water is considered to be unfit for human consumption. In order to counter these factors of pollution, various measures have been taken over the years. In 1985, the Ganga Action Plan was launched by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Later, this action plan was extended to form the National River Action Plan covering all major rivers of India. Then in 2009, special focus was given to combating pollution in the Ganga river with the establishment of the National River Ganga Basin Authority. This authority was chaired by the Prime Minister himself, and it was established under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. This authority declared the Ganga river as the national river of India, and it launched various cleanup initiatives which were being implemented by the National Mission for Clean Ganga. But due to the failure of these initiatives, all the existing schemes were brought under a single integrated program known as the Namami Gange program, which was launched as a flagship program by the Government of India in 2014. The Namami Gange program is also implemented by the National Mission for Clean Ganga, which has been registered as a society under the Jal Shakti Ministry. With the launch of the Namami Gange program, the National River Ganga Basin Authority has been dissolved, and as the apex decision-making authority, the National Ganga Council has been set up, which is chaired by the Prime Minister. Then we also have an empowered task force that is chaired by the Union Minister for Jal Shakti, and the decisions of the National Ganga Council and the empowered task force is implemented by the National Mission for Clean Ganga, which works in coordination with the state level Ganga committee and the district level Ganga committees. This integrated conservation mission, which was launched as a flagship program, has two primary objectives. Its main objective is to effectively prevent the pollution of the Ganga River, which has been designated as the National River of India. And the other primary objective is to provide for the conservation and rejuvenation of the Ganga River. This ambitious program has been allocated a budget of 20,000 crore rupees, and this money is spent on the 8 pillars of the Namami Gange program. The money is spent on the establishment of sewage treatment infrastructure. It is used for cleaning up the river surface. It is used for afforestation measures, for monitoring the discharge of industrial effluents, for developing the riverfront, for biodiversity conservation, for promoting public awareness, and as well as to establish Ganga Gram, which is basically a community-driven initiative to promote sanitation in the villages that are located on the banks of the Ganga River. The National Mission for Clean Ganga is implementing this ambitious program in 3 different phases. First, it is focused on the implementation of entry-level activities which can achieve immediate visible results. For example, this includes the cleaning of the river surface, development of the riverfront, and preventing the discharge of industrial effluents. Then it is also focused on the implementation of medium and long-term activities within the next 5 to 10 years time frame respectively, and these initiatives are largely focused on the establishment of sewage treatment infrastructure, afforestation, biodiversity conservation, etc. Now let us talk about some of the challenges in the implementation of the Namami Gange program. The first challenge is with regard to sewage treatment. See, under the Namami Gange program, an ambitious target has been laid out to treat around 2,000 million liters of water per day. But out of this ambitious objective, only 328 million liters of water per day is being treated currently. Under the program, 68 sewage treatment projects had been approved, but unfortunately, only 6 of them have been completed. So scaling up the sewage treatment capacity has emerged as a major challenge to the implementation of the Namami Gange program. The second challenge is with regard to the restoration of the natural flow of water. See, rivers tend to clean themselves if the natural flow in the river is maintained. But the natural flow of the river has been disrupted due to the overconsumption of water and due to the diversion and storage of water by the dams that have been constructed across the Ganga River. So difficulties in restoring the natural flow of the Ganga River is the second challenge to the implementation of the Namami Gange program. The third challenge is with regard to controlling the flow of sludge directly into the river. Sludge refers to fecal sludge and urban sewage that is directly discharged into the river. Such discharge introduces a number of harmful bacteria and other pathogens into the river and thus makes the water unfit for human consumption. The next challenge is the repeated cost overruns in the project due to delays in execution. Then finally, the flaws in our governance system is also contributing to the poor implementation of the Namami Gange program. Because the implementation of such an ambitious program requires a great deal of coordination between various institutions of the central government, the state government, and as well as the local governments. Now let's take up the next article, which is related to India's relations with Myanmar. See, Myanmar's president is on a state visit to India. And during this visit, around 10 key agreements have been signed. So before we have a discussion on this topic, first let us understand why Myanmar is an important neighbor for India on its eastern borders. See, India has always considered Myanmar to be a critical neighbor, mainly because of insurgency in the northeast. Over the years, a number of northeast insurgent outfits have established a safe haven along the India Myanmar border, which is densely forested. Plus, Myanmar's proximity to the Golden Triangle region makes it convenient for the insurgent outfits to source weapons and to engage in trafficking of drugs, human beings, and as well as wildlife products. India even believes that, in the past, China has enabled northeast insurgent outfits by using Myanmar as a base. Even today, the Kaplang faction of NSCN is based out of Myanmar. So for India, promoting border security and promoting counter-insurgency cooperation with Myanmar has always been a top priority. Apart from this, Myanmar has always been integral to India's Look East Act East policy. Because Myanmar literally serves as the land bridge between South Asia and Southeast Asia, and India has always seen Myanmar as a gateway to other Southeast Asian countries. Then, of late, countering China's influence and establishing closer connectivity with Myanmar has emerged as a top priority for India. See, China has always maintained close strategic and economic relations with Myanmar, and it has invested heavily in Myanmar's oil, gas, and infrastructure sector. As a part of these investments, China is developing the Kyaukphyu port, which opens to the Bay of Bengal, and it is also developing a special economic zone. China plans to connect the Kyaukphyu port and the SEZ to mainland China through a series of rail and road networks. All of these projects are a part of China's ambitious China-Myanmar Economic Corridor, which is a key component of China's Belt and Road Initiative. In order to counter these Chinese investments, India has invested in the development of the Sitwe port that is located at the mouth of the Kaladan river, and India is planning to exploit the hydrocarbon reserves of Myanmar that is located off the coast of Rakhine state. With this objective in mind, India is building the Kaladan multimodal project. This project plans to connect the Kolkata port with the Sitwe port through a maritime route. From here, India is building inland waterway connectivity over river Kaladan. And finally, India is building a highway to connect this project with the northeast of India. This project will not only help India exploit the economic potential of Myanmar, but it will also help India to create an alternative route to the northeast of India, which will help in overcoming its strategic weakness at the Siliguri corridor. Because right now, the only route through which the Indian mainland can connect with northeast of India is through the Siliguri corridor or the chicken's neck of India. This narrow patch of land is a strategic weakness for India because it is surrounded by multiple international borders and the route passes through a difficult hilly terrain. So if the Kaladan multimodal project is completed, it will open up a new alternative route for mainland India to connect with the northeast of India. Then apart from this, India, Myanmar and Thailand are building a trilateral highway which will bring South Asia closer to Southeast Asia. This upcoming trilateral highway will help in unlocking the economic potential of the northeast of India by exploiting the Southeast Asian markets. So these are some of the reasons why India sees Myanmar as a critical neighbor on its eastern borders. During the visit of Myanmar's president to India, 10 key agreements have been signed. This includes the launch of a bus service between Imphal and Mandalay. As a part of further improving connectivity between the two countries, India has agreed to assist Myanmar in the construction of an integrated checkpost at Tamu, which is a border village located in Myanmar. The construction of this integrated checkpoint is expected to improve people-to-people relations between the two countries. Because in 2018, both the countries had signed the Land Border Crossing Agreement. This agreement allows the free movement of people between the border villages provided if they have valid documents. Under this agreement, 2 points of entry and exit have been designated. One is between More and Tamu. More is a key border town in Manipur. It will connect with Tamu on the side of Myanmar. The other point of entry and exit is at Zokavatar and Ri. So as a part of this agreement, India has agreed to assist Myanmar in the construction of an integrated checkpoint at Tamu in order to facilitate people-to-people relations. Then India has also agreed to provide Babatron 2 to Myanmar to facilitate the treatment of its cancer patients. See, Babatron 2 is a medical radiation equipment that has been indigenously developed by the Baba Atomic Research Center. So India will be providing this equipment to Myanmar free of cost in order to help Myanmar to treat its cancer patients, and this further strengthens cooperation in the health sector. Then both the countries have agreed to further improve their cooperation with regard to exploration of petroleum reserves and the construction of oil refineries. Then India has also agreed to extend the Quick Impact Project scheme to Myanmar. Under this project, India will take up capacity development initiatives such as the building of schools, water tanks, hospitals, etc., which will provide quick and immediate benefits for the local people. India will also be helping Myanmar to implement its national e-ID card project, which will be modeled on the lines of India's Aadhaar. Next, India has agreed to make more investments in the Rakhine State Development Program. We have studied in previous sessions that the Rakhine state of Myanmar, which opens towards the Bay of Bengal, has witnessed an ethnic communal conflict. In this state, the Rohingyas, who are a Muslim minority, they have been persecuted and oppressed by the Buddhist majority with the support of Myanmar's army and government. Massive violence has been witnessed in the Rakhine state against the Rohingyas over the last few years, and hence the United Nations has labeled the Rohingyas as the world's most persecuted minority. As a result of this persecution, lakhs of Rohingyas have fled to neighboring countries such as India, Bangladesh, Thailand, and even Malaysia in order to seek refuge. So the Rakhine State Development Program has been launched in order to rehabilitate the Rohingya victims. And as a part of this assistance, India has already committed around $25 million in order to construct houses for Rohingya victims. Next, India and Myanmar have agreed to continue their negotiations with regard to pending treaties such as the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty and the Extradition Treaty. These agreements are particularly important for India because if they are concluded, it will help India to extradite Northeast insurgents who have sought a safe haven in Myanmar. Then India has agreed to assist Myanmar in the establishment of its diplomatic training academy, and India will also be extending the NKN network or the National Knowledge Network to Myanmar. And finally, an agreement has been signed to prevent human trafficking and to provide for their rehabilitation. Now let us take up an editorial from page number 10, which is related to the impact of climate change on the Eastern Ghats of India. See, the Eastern Ghats is considered to be a part of India's natural heritage, and it stretches across hundreds of kilometers from Odisha to southern Tamil Nadu. The Eastern Ghats is blessed with very rich biodiversity. It is home to thousands of plant species, including around 100 endemic species. It is also blessed with rich fauna, including elephants, tigers, and other threatened species. The kind of vegetation you find in the Eastern Ghats is dry deciduous, moist deciduous, and semi-evergreen forests. This point can be very important for prelims. And two major rivers within the Eastern Ghats range are Godavari and Krishna. So this biodiverse rich region is providing numerous ecosystem services to the local communities, and it is helping sustain millions of livelihoods. But recent studies conducted by IIT Kharagpur, International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, and the University of Hyderabad has shown that this sensitive ecosystem is being threatened by the impact of climate change. See, climate change is already being held responsible for large-scale temperature variation and diminishing rainfall around the world. Such drastic changes in temperature and rainfall can directly affect the productivity of forests, and this in turn can have a direct impact not just on our environment but also on the livelihoods of millions of people. Because see, local forest communities are always dependent on forest produce and other forest resources for sustaining their livelihoods. So if forest productivity is affected by climate change, then this will directly have an impact on the well-being of the local communities. The editorial also points out a few other alarming facts. Forest and tree cover in the Eastern Ghats has shrunk by around 16% over the last 2 decades, and in the Papikonda National Park of Andhra Pradesh alone, 650 square kilometers of forest has been lost over the last 20 years. So such large-scale destruction of forest and tree cover goes against India's commitments to the Paris Agreement of the Climate Change Convention. Under the Paris Agreement, India has committed to create an additional carbon sink through afforestation which can absorb 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide. While the commitment is to increase forest cover through afforestation, forest cover in the Eastern Ghats is being reduced at an alarming rate, mainly due to anthropogenic stress. Rapid and unsustainable economic development is threatening the biodiversity of Eastern Ghats, and hence the editorial suggests these measures in order to overcome the impact of climate change and reduce these anthropogenic stress factors. The editorial recommends the promotion of sustainable exploitation of forest resources in order to counter over-exploitation. It is asking the government to incentivize settled agriculture in order to counter the impact of shifting agriculture, because the practice of shifting agriculture will directly contribute to deforestation. The editorial also recommends the usage of indigenous plants and trees for restoring and strengthening the peripheral areas of the forests of Eastern Ghats, and it is asking the government to finance these initiatives by tapping into international climate funds that are available. Now let's take up a column from page number 10, which evaluates the flaws in the Aadhaar system. See, when Aadhaar was introduced, it was designed to be the backbone of the direct benefit transfer scheme. See, prior to the DBT scheme and the Aadhaar project, there was a lot of leakage taking place in the delivery of government welfare programs. In welfare programs such as the public distribution system, in the transfer of pension amount, in the transfer of Manrega wages, in the transfer of maternity benefits, a lot of leakages were being noticed. These leakages were primarily because of corruption in the system and as well as due to the existence of ghost beneficiaries and duplicate cards. So in order to plug these leakages, a biometric based authentication system through Aadhaar was supposed to be the backbone of the direct benefit transfer scheme. But the writer illustrates how a study conducted using randomized control trials on the PDS system of Jharkhand has shown that the Aadhaar system has failed in plugging these leakages. According to the study, leakages have not been reduced despite the usage of Aadhaar, and ghost beneficiaries and duplicate cards have not been completely eliminated despite the usage of biometric authentication. Instead, the usage of Aadhaar-based biometric authentication has ended up increasing the transaction cost for the beneficiaries, and it has also resulted in exclusion errors of genuine beneficiaries. See, the transaction cost for the beneficiaries has gone up because they have to spend money on commuting to these service delivery centers due to the requirement of biometric authentication, which requires the beneficiary to be present in person. The study has also shown that due to flaws in the biometric authentication system, a number of genuine beneficiaries have been wrongly excluded, and as a result, they are being denied the benefits of these welfare programs. Now let us take up the practice questions. Which of the following statements are correct? Foreigner registration is a mandatory requirement by the Government of India, under which all foreign nationals, excluding overseas citizens of India, visiting India on a long-term visa, that is for more than 180 days, are required to register themselves within 14 days of arriving in India. Pakistani nationals visiting India are required to register within 24 hours of arrival, regardless of the duration of their stay. They have to register with the Ministry of External Affairs. Registration can be done only in person. Amongst the given statements, the first and the second statements are correct, but the third and the fourth statements are incorrect. So option A is the right answer. See, foreigners have to register with the Foreigners Regional Registration Office. These centers are set up by the Bureau of Immigration, which is an autonomous organization under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The Bureau of Immigration, through the Foreign Registration Office, is responsible for registering foreigners and providing visa services such as visa extension. But the Bureau of Immigration and the FRRO have their offices only in a few cities. So in the case of districts, foreigners can register themselves with a district superintendent of police, and for this purpose, adequate powers have been delegated by the Ministry of Home Affairs to the state governments. And also remember that the Bureau of Immigration is responsible for operating immigration checkpoints at all ports of entry. Then the fourth statement is also incorrect because foreigner registration need not be done in person anymore. Recently, the government has launched eFRRO, through which foreigner registration services are being provided online. Now let's take up the second practice question. A foreigner is not entitled to which of the following fundamental rights? Article 15, Article 16 or Article 19? See, a foreigner cannot enjoy any of these fundamental rights. So the correct answer is option D. These two questions were asked because we have a related article on page number 6. See, a student from Bangladesh had approached the Foreigners Regional Registration Office in Kolkata in order to extend her visa. But her visa extension has been denied, and the FRRO has asked the student to leave India because apparently she shared Facebook posts in support of the anti-CAA protests. So the student's case has been taken up by a few lawyers at the Calcutta High Court in order to defend her basic rights. So in this context, you need to remember that there are few fundamental rights which are applicable only for Indian citizens. This includes Article 15, Article 16, 19, Article 29 and Article 30. This means that the government can deny these fundamental rights to foreigners. See, for example, a foreigner can be discriminated on the basis of his place of birth under Article 15. Similarly, a foreigner can be discriminated in public employment due to his nationality under Article 16. Then fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, movement and residence under Article 19 can also be denied to a foreigner. And even the fundamental rights that are available to minorities under Article 29 and 30 can also be denied to a foreigner. Apart from these fundamental rights, the rest, such as Article 14, Article 21, etc., they are applicable equally to Indian citizens and as well as to non-citizens. Now let us take up the third practice question. Which of the following statements are correct? The light combat helicopter is a multi-role combat helicopter designed and developed indigenously by the DRDO. It has been named as Rudra. It is intended to be deployed alongside the American-built Boeing Apache attack helicopter. Amongst the given statements, the first two statements are incorrect. Because see, the light combat helicopter is not developed by the DRDO, it has been developed by the HAL. But the rest of the statement is correct. The LCH is a multi-role combat helicopter that has been indigenously developed and designed, but not by the DRDO, but by the HAL. And it has not been named Rudra. Rudra refers to the combat version of the advanced light helicopter, which is known as Dhruv. See, the ALH Dhruv has also been developed indigenously by HAL. See, the ALH Dhruv is a utility helicopter that has been developed for both civilian and military purposes. And its combat version has been named as Rudra. This is not the name of the light combat helicopter. And yes, it is being inducted into the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, and they are planning to deploy them alongside the Apache attack helicopters that India is procuring from the United States. So the third statement is correct. Option C is the right answer. This question has been asked because on page number 8, the Hindu carries an image of Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, who is seen to be inaugurating the LCH production hangar facility at HAL, which is headquartered in Bengaluru. Now let's take up the next practice question. India has signed bilateral trade agreements with which of the following countries? India has signed bilateral trade agreements with Japan and South Korea. With both the countries, India has signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. But with Australia, India is yet to sign such an agreement because they are currently under negotiation. So the correct answer is option C, 1 and 3 only. This question has been asked because we have a related article on page number 14. This article refers to the trade relations between India and Australia, and it refers to the ongoing negotiations for the signing of a bilateral trade deal. Now let's take up another practice question. Which of the following are considered as benchmark prices for crude oil? Is it West Texas Intermediate or WTI, or Brent Crude, or the Dubai Crude? All the three are correct. Option C is the right answer. See, the West Texas Intermediate refers to a type of crude oil which is extracted in Texas and it is traded in New York. The Brent Crude refers to a crude oil that is extracted in the North Sea, which is a part of the Atlantic Ocean, and it is traded in London. And the Dubai Crude refers to a type of crude oil that is extracted in the Persian Gulf, and it sets the benchmark price for the oil that is sold in the Persian Gulf. These three are considered as the primary benchmark prices for the global selling and buying of crude oil. This question has been asked because we have a related article on page number 15. This article refers to the decline in oil prices due to fears over coronavirus. You can see that West Texas Intermediate and Brent Crude have been mentioned in the article, and these benchmark prices have fallen by over 4% due to fears over the coronavirus. Now let us take up a map-based question. Which of the following statements are correct? The Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited is a PSU set up under the Ministry of Railways to undertake planning, development, construction and operation of the dedicated freight corridors. Two projects are currently under implementation. The Western Dedicated Freight Corridor connecting Dadri in UP to JNPT in Mumbai. The Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor connecting Ludhiana in Punjab to Dankuni in West Bengal. 4 more corridors have been approved, including the East-West Corridor, the North-South Corridor, the East Coast Corridor, and the South Corridor, or also referred to as the South-West Corridor. All the three statements are correct, so option D is the right answer. Please look at this map. See, the Dedicated Freight Corridor project involves the construction of dedicated railway lines through which freight or cargo can be moved through industrial zones. This project is being executed by the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited, which has been set up as a PSU under the Ministry of Railways. Currently, 2 dedicated freight corridors are being built. The Western Dedicated Freight Corridor connects Dadri in Uttar Pradesh with the JNPT port in Mumbai, and the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor connects Ludhiana in Punjab with Dankuni in Kolkata. Apart from this, 4 more projects are being taken up in the future. We have the North-South Dedicated Freight Corridor, which is expected to connect Delhi with Chennai. We will have the East Coast Dedicated Freight Corridor, which will connect Kolkata with Chennai along India's east coast. And we have the East-West Dedicated Freight Corridor that is proposed to connect Mumbai with Kolkata. And we also have the Southern Dedicated Freight Corridor, which is also being referred to as the South-West Corridor, which plans to connect Chennai and Goa through Bangalore. So the proposed Bangalore-Chennai Industrial Corridor will be a part of the Southwest or the Southern Corridor. And also note down, these projects are being funded by the World Bank and Japan International Cooperation Agency as a part of Japan's financial assistance to India's infrastructure projects. This question has been asked because yesterday, the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India has inaugurated the world's second largest operational control center at Prayagraj in UP, and this state-of-the-art control center will control the operations of the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor. And we also have a related article on page number 15, according to which the JNPT port authorities have asked the DFC to give priority to public ports instead of prioritizing private ports such as the Mundra port in Gujarat, which is run by the Adani Group. Now let's take up another map-based question. Which of the following statements are correct? South Sudan is a landlocked country in East Central Africa. It gained independence from the Republic of Sudan in 2011, making it the most recent sovereign state with widespread recognition. South Sudan is bordered by Sudan, Somalia, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. Amongst the given statements, the third statement is incorrect, so the correct answer is option B, 1 and 2 only. Please look at this map. South Sudan is a new country which was born in 2011. As you can see, it is a landlocked country and it is located in East Central Africa. It shares a border with Sudan, Central African Republic, the DRC, Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia. This question has been asked because we have a related article on page number 11. This article welcomes the inauguration of a national unity government in South Sudan, which finally brings years of political instability to an end. Because since 2011, that is since South Sudan gained independence from Sudan, the country has been hit by political instability, so the formation of a national unity government will give hope for peace and progress in South Sudan. Now let us take up a practice question from the 2017 prelims paper. From the ecological point of view, which one of the following assumes importance in being a good link between the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats? The correct answer is option A, the Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve in Tamil Nadu. Finally, let's take up a couple of mains practice questions. The first question, Myanmar is a key neighbor for India on its eastern borders. In the light of this statement, evaluate the recent visit of Myanmar's president to India. The second statement, write a note on the Namami Gange program and evaluate its implementation. So kindly write an answer to these questions and post them in the comment section below. So this concludes our discussion for the day. Thanks for watching.